Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Your story is your mission. My name is Beatrice Adams, and I'm so happy that you've joined me again today as I continue to teach as many people as I can reach how to start a nonprofit at their state and then how to be approved as a 501c3 tax exempt organization.
But before we go any further, if you would please subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to bring you content like this so that you will be able to progress with your nonprofit. And you may notice a change in my voice. That I'll be honest, that was a previous recording that I did as an opener, and I was a little too lazy to do another one. So that's why you'll notice the difference, but let's go ahead and get at that Form 1023, and that's part 5. We are going to continue on with that section. Now, if you are new to my channel, I'm going to show you exactly how to log into the pay.gov system. And again, that is the system that you will need to have an account with in order to submit your Form 1023 application. Again, they no longer accept paper documentation to be mailed into them. So you have to submit it here, and you will just go to pay.gov. And in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the menu button, and you just click that and then click sign in. Again, if you have not created an account, you will want to do so here. Of course, I have, so let's go ahead and get signed in. And this is going to be a two-step verification. If you do not have an ID.me account or a login.gov account, it will make you do that. Okay, so for our protection, we've got this two-step. And I will go ahead and get signed in here. I'll get my email address in there, and then of course I'll get my password, and no worries, it is not going to show you my password. So let's get that in. Again, you all know that I like to show individuals who may not be that tech savvy. I myself, I'm not the greatest. So I like to give you this information just in case you need it. So bear with me for a moment, and I'm going to have it text to me the code, and then I'm going to get that code in. And we're going to get straight to that Form 1023. So bear with me just a moment. Let me get that code here, and we'll get that entered, and we'll go ahead and continue. And that is as simple as that. That's how you log into the pay.gov system, which is the IRS system. So we are going to now, you see it says welcome Beatrice. So I'm going to go and click go to my account. And this is where I'm going to find all of my activity. You will want to click my forms to get back to your IRS form or to start your form application. So we're going to do this. And now I will click on my saved accounts and continue to the form. I happen to know that this one is the one that I'm working with for my videos as an example. So we are going to click on that, and it is Pretty Paws Foundation. Again, it's a made up foundation. Not going to read any of this. Again, we're just getting logged in. Scroll all the way down, and we will click continue to the form. And then once it's there, it is going to tell us now that we can click continue where you left off. All right, and this is where we left off, part 5, compensation and other financial arrangements. And we've already answered several of these questions in the previous video. And if you have not seen that video, definitely click on that and look at it. You'll want to do that before you get to this one. Now, we are going to start with number 3. And one thing, let me just say this before I get into this. Be sure to click the links below. There are plenty of links of documents from previous videos that will help you get through this Form 1023 so you don't have to figure it out. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. So be sure to click the links below. There's a link for a checklist that will show you that will list all of the documents you will need to have in place to submit with your Form 1023. There are several things down there that is very important to help you get through this. So be sure to look down in the description field and check that out and click on anything that you feel that will help you. Okay. So number 3, do you or will you compensate any of your officers, directors, trustees, highest compensated employees, and highest compensated independent contractors through non-fixed payments, such as discretionary bonuses or revenue payments? Now, I actually answered no. The reason I answered no, I personally do not feel that a nonprofit should get a bonus. Like you're a board of director, you're on the board of directors, you're the executive director, you're the treasurer, the secretary. I don't feel that you should receive a bonus. That's just personal. If you feel that you should receive bonuses, you want to pay out your people bonuses, I feel that that is more for a for profit business as opposed to a nonprofit. But again, they're asking you that question for a reason. So if you do want to have bonuses that you pay out, you definitely want to go further and you need to answer this question. It says, if yes, describe all non-fixed compensation arrangements, including how the amounts are determined, who is eligible for such arrangements, whether you place a limitation on total compensation, and how you determine or will determine that you pay no more than reasonable compensation for services. And if you have a questions on that, go back up here. I again remember I said always have your instructions open and I forgot to click on it, but let's click on that. Right click on it, open that link in a new tab, and let's see exactly what it is referring to. So that was number 3. See, it takes you straight there, as I mentioned in the previous video, takes you straight to that section where you are. And let's go to line 3 and see the instructions are awesome because they tell you exactly what you need. If you have questions about what exactly is a fixed payment, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by a non-fixed payment? It's telling you. So definitely have your instructions open and be sure to reference them, read them word for word. And just as an example, let's look at this one here. Line number 3, that's the question that we're on. It says a fixed payment means a payment that is either a set dollar amount or fixed through a specific formula where the amount doesn't depend on discretion. For example, a salary of $200,000 that is adjusted annually based on the increase in the consumer price index is a fixed payment. Now, again, let's go back to the form. I personally do not recommend that you select yes in this section because, again, personally, I feel that a nonprofit should not issue out discretionary bonuses or revenue based payments. I don't think so. I believe that you certainly should get a salary to work with your nonprofit because I talked about it in the previous video. You will need a salary, definitely, to be able to pay your bills so that you can put your all into the nonprofit. I just don't believe that you should get a discretionary bonus to do so. I always have my clients select no, and I urge you to do the same. And if not, be absolutely sure to answer this question. If yes, be sure to do that. Okay, so the next question, number 4, is, do you or will you purchase or sell any goods, services, or assets from or to any of your officers, directors, or trustees, any family of any of your officers, directors, or trustees, excuse me, any organizations in which any of your officers, directors, or trustees are also officers, directors, or trustees, or in which any individual officer, director, or trustee owns more than 35% interest, your highest compensated employees, or your highest compensated independent contractors. Now, I know that that's a lot. I know that these questions can be in depth, but you want to read every bit of it. You do not want to assume you know what it's asking. If you need to read it at least 3, 4 times, however whatever it takes for you to get a good understanding of what this form is asking, definitely do that. Do not just skim over it and assume you know what it's asking and then answer. In my case, I answer no. Pretty Paws Foundation will not purchase or sell any goods or services or assets from or to any of its officers. Now, remember in the previous video, I discussed in detail about a conflict of interest policy. This to me points to what could present a conflict of interest. For example, Beatrice Adams is executive director of Pretty Paws Foundation, but Beatrice Adams also owns a grooming service, a pet grooming service. And if Pretty Paws Foundation sells any goods or services or assets to or from its officers or directors, in my case, I would be a director. Again, do you or will you purchase from Beatrice Adams Grooming Service, Pet Grooming Service? Will you purchase any services from your officers or directors or trustees? That's a conflict of interest. That will present a conflict of interest. And look at the previous video because I talked at length and how you should address that and what the conflict of interest policy is. But I select no because I know that will present a conflict of interest. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means why create some unnecessary work for you to have to then, you know, go through all of this. Now, it's possible, you can do it, no worries. I just choose not to. I have had a situation where that is the case, and I'll give you an example here. It could be that Beatrice Adams, executive director for Pretty Paws Foundation, I do have a family member. Any family of any of your officers? I do have a family member who has a pet and they live in the inner city. Let's just say they live in Buffalo, New York. But they live in Buffalo, New York, and they own and this is an elderly family member. She owns a pet and she's on limited income. And I know that my family member could benefit from Pretty Paws Foundation because again, the mission is to subsidize grooming and veterinary costs. So I know that my family member will benefit from the service that our foundation that we actually give to our demographic. I know that my family member will benefit from the subsidy, you know. However, I don't want there to be a conflict of interest. So I always urge my clients to select no, just avoid that situation. Don't purchase or sell any of the goods or services that you, as your nonprofit, gives to its demographic. Do not include that with your officers. Your officers or directors, your family members, just avoid all of that. As my dad used to say, keep family is family and business is business. Do not intertwine the two. Okay. So that's just the best way to handle that situation. All right, and so now here we are at number 5. Do you or will you have well, let me go back up here. Sorry about that. If you do decide you want to do this, if you want to um, sell your allow your or sell your goods and services, my goodness, what am I doing? To any of the officers, if y'all want to kind of want to purchase services from an officer or director or include any family member in benefits or what have you. If you answer yes, describe any such transactions that you made or intend to make. So you may have made them already, maybe in the future you intend to make such a transaction happen. but you need to describe any such transactions, with whom you will make such transactions, okay? How the terms are or will be negotiated at arm's length, and how you determine you pay no more than fair market value, or you are paid at least fair market value. All right, so you need to make sure you answer these questions. Again, don't skim over anything, read them thoroughly, make sure you're answering every single part of the question. Now, let's go on to number 5. Do you or will you have any leases, contracts, loans, or other agreements with your officers, directors, or trustees, any family member, excuse me, any family of any of your officers, directors, or trustees, any organizations in which any of your officers, directors, or trustees are also officers, directors, or trustees, or in which any individual officer, director, or trustee owns more than 35%, your highest compensated employees, or your highest compensated independent contractors. Now, again, I realize that's a lot, but you definitely want to read thoroughly. I know I've said that before. Read thoroughly, answer it thoroughly. Now, in this case, oftentimes my clients do want to answer yes to that because they may say they're a husband and wife. What they are both on the board of directors. The husband is, let's just say, the treasurer, the wife is the executive director. They know because of their dynamic, they will probably have a lease or contract or something that they will go into, right, on behalf of the organization. So in this case, there's a certain way that you do need to address this. And I hate to do this to you, but we're going to do that in the next video because this is quite lengthy. Because we're answering yes, we need to describe any written or oral agreements, or excuse me, arrangements that you made or intend to make, with whom you have or will have such arrangements, how the terms are or will be negotiated at arm's length, and how you determine you pay no more than fair market value, or you are paid at least fair market value. So I will address this in the next video. Specifically, we'll talk about that. Again, that's going to be a little lengthy. Well, let's just say more detailed, and I don't want this video to go way too long. And let's go on down to number 6. Do you or will you contract with another organization to develop, build, market, or finance your facilities? If yes, describe each facility, the role of the other organization, and any business or family relationship between the organization and your officers, directors, or trustees. Explain how that entity is selected, how the terms of any contracts are negotiated at arm's length, and how you determine you will pay no more than fair market value for services. Oftentimes, that's a no for my clients. They will not contract with another organization to develop, build, market, or finance their facilities. So oftentimes that's a no. That's but this question here, number 7, I oftentimes always select no to this, but I'm going to give you an example as to a time you may select yes. So this one, number 7, does or will someone other than your own employees or volunteers manage your activities or facilities? If yes, describe the activities or facilities that will be managed by others, the names of the persons or organizations that manage or will manage your activities or facilities, and any business or family relationship between the organization and your officers, directors, or trustees. Explain how these managers were or will be selected, how the terms of any contracts or other agreements were or will be negotiated, and how you determine you will pay no more than fair market value for services. Now, the IRS is not asking you all these questions just because they're mean and they just want you to do all this work. They are not. But I can assure you that these questions are fundamental for the foundation of your nonprofit. If you can answer these questions, specifically address each and every part of the question and answer it, you're setting your nonprofit up for success because you'll have all of this documentation. You're not going to just submit this form and not keep copies. You're going to have all of this stuff. You're going to keep it in a nice, neat binder. I call it a corporate binder. You're going to have all of this information so that you will be able to put your hands right on it. You'll be able to use this information also to create your business plan. A nonprofit should have a business plan. It is a corporation, it is a business. And without a business plan, well, you got to know where you're going in order to get there, right? So these questions are, let's just say, they can be quite irritating. I'll be honest. However, it is very, very important and vital that you read through them thoroughly, reread through it, whatever it takes to get a good understanding and answer each and every section. So I'm going to give you a quick example of this. Does or will someone other than your own employees or volunteers manage your activities or facilities? I have a client, a wonderful person who is starting a nonprofit, and it is going to be where they're working with children after school to help them academically. They want them to progress and be able to succeed in higher education. So they're helping them now in middle school when it's very vital for them. They're helping them understand how important academics are and to tutor with them, and also to get them into a sport that will help them as it'll look good when they apply for college. Let's just keep it as simple as that. It's a wonderful foundation. I will not mention the name, but you know who you are if you're watching this video. And this is an example where this individual had to answer yes. And so, because they will be the people that will be managing the facility, park where they have the facilities, they have meeting rooms, they have all of this stuff already set up. Of course, for the sport end of it, they're able to have the children play the sport, learn the sport, grow, so on and so forth. But in that situation, the park staff will be managing the facility. And so this is where this individual had to answer yes. And again, if you're going to answer yes, you have to break this down word for word and answer every part. Don't shy away from it. Don't be afraid of it. You can do it. You can do it. In this case, though, the majority of my clients answer no because they'll be managing their own facilities or activities, so on and so forth. Number 8, do you participate in any joint ventures, including partnerships or limited liability companies, treated as partnerships, in which you share profits and losses with partners? My clients are a no there. However, if you indeed participate in any joint ventures, including partnerships or LLCs, treated as partnerships, you will click yes. And then if you are a yes, state your ownership percentage in each joint venture. List your investment in each joint venture. Describe the tax status of other participants in each joint venture, including including whether they are Section 501c3 organizations. Describe the activities of each joint venture. Describe how you exercise control over the activities of each joint venture. And describe how each joint venture furthers your exempt purpose. It's a lot, but if you answer yes, you got to answer that question. You absolutely. See? Go to the instructions, line 8. It tells you what a joint venture is. A joint venture is a legal agreement in which the persons jointly undertake a transaction or mutual profit. Generally, each person contributes assets and shares risks, like a partnership. Joint ventures can involve any type of business transaction, and the persons involved can be individuals, groups of individuals, companies, or corporations. I would think in this situation, it could be, as an example, it could be a legal firm where they would be a partnership, and they could be a PLLC. And in this case, they need to answer yes and describe all of that. Maybe they have a service where maybe they are strictly set up to offer pro bono services. That's what they do. Um, then I would imagine they would need to answer yes to number 8. So my clients are not at this point. They're not doing this. They're not, it's going to be a no for them. And they're certainly not running a for-profit and a nonprofit alongside each other. They're just not doing that. They're creating food pantries and so on and so forth, religious organizations and theaters and things like that. They're not doing this. So it's a no here. And we are going to stop there because the next video I will explain more on the leases and the contracts and the loans, that type of situation, how you need to address this. Again, if you will not go into contracts, you're not going to rent a facility and have any of your officers or directors come in on that lease with you, then you're just going to select no. But I do want to address that because the majority of my clients are yes there. So we'll go and we'll stop there. Oops, it's not going to let me go to the next page without explaining that. You see that? I tried to just go forward and it would not let me. So we're going to stop right there. And I thank you so much for joining me on this video. I'm wishing you the best with what your nonprofit endeavors. I will tell you that if once you get your form completed and you're just a little unsure as to whether it is accurate, I do offer a service where I will review that package for you and help you get it cleaned up. So just look at the link below. Be sure to click on it if you do need that service, and let's talk. But having said all of that, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.